Okay. So chapter 10, quite a generalized chapter, but obviously it's important. It's all about your ethics that you have and ownership. Okay. All related to the software development and all that. Now, what are ethics basically? Obviously, you know, ethics is a field of moral science. These are your moral principles that obviously every person has to follow. And why are we discussing this in computers? Because whenever you work in the development of any system software, and once you work as a software engineer or you in collaboration with the team with software engineer as a manager, there are certain rules and ethics that have to be obeyed. These ethics have to be obeyed with regard to the public, with regard to the consumer, with regard to your coworkers, with regard to the laws. We will discuss all this today. What do I mean by all this? Okay, so basically, as far as these ethics are concerned, this was initially uh, defined by the British Computer Society, the BCS. You can even search it on the net. There are certain rules of BCS. You can become a member of the British Computer Society. There are certain rules you have to follow. Okay, so there are four headings and guidelines that relate to. One will discuss about the public interest, professional competence and integrity. Okay. The reason why we talk about integrity, because the integrity of the organization, of the company, is of utmost importance. Obviously, your integrity is also very important. So we, being a professional computer science individual, we have to make sure that we maintain professional competence and integrity. Okay, by competence, what they mean is that we have to show that we are professionally competent and we will deal with something. For example, if you're supposed to complete something within 4 working days, your professional competence will always let you complete it, and you should be completing it on time. You cannot make excuses that this happened or that happened, and due to which I was not able to do it. Okay, so your professional competence is obviously directly related to the integrity. Okay, you will automatically have a lot of integrity if you keep on performing a professional competence in every field. Duty to the relevant authority. Yeah, but I will sure. Like every lecture, I will. Inshallah, by today evening, I'll do that. Okay. Duty to the relevant authority. Now, the relevant authority could be the company that you're working for. The relevant authority could be the public, private company that you're working for. We'll talk about that. Okay. Duty to the profession, obviously. Like I'm a teacher right now. Duty to my profession is that I should perform my duties lawfully and according to what I have to do. So as long as your computer professionals are concerned, they should also perform their duties professionally and what they're supposed to do. Now, the IE, the International Electric Engineer, they made up some definitions, and these 8 principles have been defined below. We'll talk about these 8 principles that have been defined. Okay, as far as the rules are concerned. Public. So let me, I hope you all can see, but I'll zoom in more. Public. Software engineers shall act consistently with public interest. So all the software engineers that will be there will consistently work with the public interest. So public interest is one of the most important things that we have over here. We should always consider the public interest. Client and employer. Software engineers shall act in a manner that is the best interest of their client and employer, consistent with public interest. So obviously, we have to look at the best interests of their client and the employer, which means we have to look at how can we do certain things that would be more feasible and would be in the interest of the client, and at the same time what could be good and best interest of the employer. Okay, for example, if I just give an example, you were supposed to complete the task in 4 days, and due to some natural problems, you somehow the project can be delayed. But obviously you know it that I can complete it. I can complete it in given time. So if you can, then you should try to complete it within the time. So it will only happen if you are honest and you think in the interests of the client. If you're honest and you think accordingly, it will obviously work. Right? You get my point. So employers, you have to think of in the best interests of everyone. Then obviously this is what it means. Product. The software engineer shall ensure that their products and related modifications meet highest professional standard. So obviously, the final product that you will be developing, it has to be of the most professional standards. You have to take care of the fact that there are no errors and all that, although we're not going to a lot of detail of that, but obviously as far as computer science is concerned, and as far as software development is concerned, as far as system development is concerned, what do we mean by highest professional? It means there should be minimum bugs and errors. It should be as much accurate as possible. Okay, the information that you provide should be credible enough, should be accurate enough, should be reliable enough in every aspect that you might think. Okay, so we will try to create professional standards as much as possible. Judgment. Software engineers shall maintain integrity and independence in their professional judgment. Okay, so software engineers should be independent, in judging their professional judgment. What do they mean by that? That there should be no way that software engineers are being forced to do something forcefully. So they should maintain their own integrity. Okay. And then they should be independent in their own judgment. For example, a particular software has been developed, a large scale software, and someone tries to do a bit of nepotism and says, pass the software, make it approve it, although there are still some few discrepancies left within the software. So software engineers should independently judge with his professional or her professional judgment and saying, so I think so we need to rectify these errors more and we can't quickly launch it. This will be your professional independent. Okay. Any problem till now, whatever we've discussed?
Sir,
Yes, beta.
sir, वो
Yes.
जो सारी होती हैं organization associations उनको जो है professionals on their own individual level join करते हैं या फिर as a company?
That's what we're discussing. That's what we are discussing. That if we are the software engineer, we have to take into account is the product. We have to take into account is the client and employer. We have to take into account is the public. We have to be as much as non-biased judgment we should be doing. We should not be biased in anything. So आपको अपनी तरफ से you have to be as professional as possible. So we're talking about individuals. Yes, we're talking about individuals. Software engineers की बात हो रही है, programmers की बात हो रही है, जिनकी बात हो रही है. But these are the points that we're discussing: the public, the client, the product, the judgment, the management.
Okay.
Right. The management. Software engineer managers and leaders shall subscribe to and promote an ethical approach to the management of software development and maintenance. There should always be an ethical approach to the management of the software development and maintenance. Okay, there are certain things that comes within the ethics, so we have to follow that and all that. Okay, so for example, uh, and for example, okay, you are the manager and you are working with your co-workers. So ethically, if one of your employee isn't feeling well at that time and you have another person, you should ask the person and they should start working on it. So there are lots of things that ethically, as a team, we can do to make sure the projects are completed on time. Okay, so the entire management has to behave in such a way. Ethics have to be followed. Okay, there are lots of things that are regarded as unethical. Okay, profession. Okay, can someone give me more example of ethical approach as far as software development and maintenance is concerned? Just think of it. How ethically could a developer be wrong at some instance? How do you think so? Anyone?
if if a software house has developed जो है
Mhm.
software and they've patented it and then someone infringes it by maybe
Uh-huh.
copying the idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. Anyone else? बिल्कुल ठीक है. Ethically और गलत क्या हो सकता है? As a software developer, we are working the software development and we are also maintaining it. So ethically क्या गलत हो सकता है हमसे? जो हम we should be avoiding that.
किसी और के ओरिजिनल आइडियाज ले लेना.
Very good. Exactly. Excellent. बिल्कुल. Ethically wrong होगा ना. Software development की maintenance की बात हो रही है ना. So during the development, what I do is कि I just copy someone's ideas. I do not follow the Data Protection Act rule. Okay. So again, it's wrong. बिल्कुल सही आपने. To the point you were there. Profession. Software engineers shall advance the integrity and reputation of the profession consistent with public interest. So obviously, you should be loyal to your profession. Your profession comes first. You have to show advance the integrity and the reputation of the profession. Okay. For example, the integrity and the profession to the teaching profession. अगर मैं नहीं दिखाऊंगा, if I don't take care of it, I will be putting the teaching profession at stake. So we should be respecting the profession that we join, either software engineers, whatever we do. But right now, obviously, we're just talking about software engineers. So if you join a profession, you should obviously try to maintain its integrity. Okay, that's obviously something really important. The problem is at times when we join professions that we don't want to do, that creates a problem. Maybe not intentionally, but unintentionally, we somehow do not maintain the integrity. ये नहीं होता कि हम नहीं करना चाह रहे, हो जाता है because I don't have an interest in it. For example, if I don't like teaching, I should not be teaching. I should be doing something else. जिस तरह मेरी एग्जाम्पल है, I was a software engineer, then I came into teaching. मगर I enjoy teaching. I started teaching way back. Mr. Patrice Fouquet, he brought me in. So unless until you don't enjoy anything in your life, उसको ना करना. जब enjoy करो तो बिल्कुल करना, because once you enjoy it, you would like to do it. You would like to add resources to it. You would like to help the community. You would like to do something more. As long as you don't enjoy, I think you get what I'm saying. So professionalism is something that is important for you, your success, and for the people surrounding you and for your organization, obviously. Colleagues, software engineers shall be fair to and the supporting of their colleagues. Yeah, that's really, really important. I mean, if I want to elaborate this, if you want to have an extensive, you should not start being biased, start feeling jealous of someone who is successing. We should be appreciating everyone who's doing good. Do your job and appreciate whoever is doing well. Be supportive, be fair, don't be unbiased. So, colleagues are part of it. Obviously, they are part of it. Self. Software engineers shall participate in lifelong learning regarding the practice of the profession and shall promote an ethical approach to the practice of the profession. You get the point. So, as far as you yourself as a software engineer are concerned, you have to participate in lifelong learning, because you know what? Computer science is one of the field that is never going to stop. When I joined computer science, when I did my master in computer science, it's way back in 2002. Everyone did tell me, my teachers did tell me that remember, you are joining where you have to update yourself all the time. I mean, it's not that you can sit back for 6 months and not update. And I remember they were absolutely right. Every time there is a new thing coming and there's a new language coming in, we have to update ourselves. So it's lifelong learning. It is. Truly it is. Unlike there are lots of other professions, but frankly speaking, nowadays, I believe most of the professions you really need to participate and you have to keep on learning. You have to be honest and sincere with your profession and shall promote the ethical approach to the practice of profession. You get the point? It's ethically right for me to update myself. It's ethically wrong to me and my profession if I don't update myself. You get the point why self is discussed over here. I hope I'm clear in what I said. Right? Anyone has a question till these 8 points? You can get a direct question of these 8 points, and we should be aware of them. Okay. Manur, anyone? Aisha? Okay.
में ये भी आ जाएगा in the colleagues point कि if for specific software one of the colleagues in terms of rivalry tries to ruin it.
Okay. Did you hear Manur the way I heard her? Manur, can you type in the question?
Yes.
Manur? Yeah, maybe you're visiting Mars these days. Can you type in the question? Yeah, but it was very cool voice, by the way. Huh? Okay. You can type in the question.
Sir, jab tak she's typing, can I give you an example of that updating
Sure,
thing?
sure. Yeah, sure. बिल्कुल दो.
मेरे मामू के साथ हुआ था. One of the pioneers of Oracle in Pakistan, but then he went
अच्छा,
off and
national
he
है.
did his own business for a separate thing.
What's his name?
And when he came back like a year or जी
What's his name?
Zahid.
अच्छा. अच्छा बोलो. I'm listening.
And then jab went out of the thing for about 1 year, 2 years, and when he came back, so he was so out of league with the whole thing where he couldn't really do anything else to support it without updating himself. So he had to go through courses and everything to get back into the whole thing again.
अच्छा. Right. Now where
तो
is?
वो जो उन्होंने break लिया था उनके लिए काफी costly था.
अच्छा. Yes, there are. So Manu is asking that if one of the colleague tries to ruin other software through bugs or viruses, are there legal consequences? Yes, there will be if it's proven. Obviously, this lawfully has to be taken care of. That because you can find people who will just be blaming someone. ये भी हो सकता है कि I just out of jealousy I might blame someone. You know what? He just sent me a code that disrupted the entire. So we first of all have to find out whether that particular blame is right or wrong. If it's proven, obviously there are laws that protect individual software programmers around it. Okay, there's a full detailed script on this, which we are not studying. We just look at the main things. But legally, if you join this as a software engineer, you should be going through the entire leaflet, right? Yeah. So yes, there is, Manu. Right. So you points. Despite the difference in details, the codes are given. Right. So with regard to the public interest or public good is key concern. The codes present for fundamental principles. We'll just talk about this as we go on. So this is a worked example. I would like you to go through it yourself. Okay. And then you can get back to me. ये मैं आपको homework दे रहा हूँ before Wednesday. This is your homework. Please remember, all of you. Okay, just go through it and we will discuss it if there is an issue. Okay. Okay. The public good. The different parts of the IE, Joint Task Force, Code of Ethics, code, there is a reference to the health and the safety and the welfare of the public, the public interest, the public good, the public concern. Okay. What does it actually mean? We can talk about this as well. Because as far as program codes are concerned, they're quite important. From an autopilot train, okay, from an autopilot aircraft, from an automatic escalators, travelators that you see in airports. I mean, there could be numerous examples where sensors and computer-controlled algorithms are used. In fact, it's becoming more common nowadays. So the health and the safety and the welfare of the public is of the utmost importance. Okay. There's one very good example that has been given over here. It is about the Ariane 5 rocket, which exploded 40 seconds after the blast off in 1996. This was a loss of probably $500 million worth of investment. And you know why this simply happened? The program was caused by the line of code that tried to convert a 64-bit floating point number into a 60-bit integer. So there was a overflow crashed. There's a program fault that was basically there that made it to happen. So your algorithms in these control systems are so important. So when we talk about the health and safety, it's very important that as software engineers we take care of these things. Okay, let's say at the end no one even knows what happened, but you should uh, have the conscious within yourself that you might feel guilty about if something goes wrong. It's something that's really important, and this individually can actually do it. So there are many more examples that you have. For example, they have over here the NASA Mars Orbiter project central to the space or probe was due to the orbit Mars to study the climate. And what happened in this is it failed because the software was supposed to use the SI unit for all calculations, and they were using some other imperial system of unit was being used. So just because of this slight things, your algorithms can crash, they can face problem, and if they have not been tried and tested properly, this is where the problem comes in. So
Sir,
testing is something really important. जी बेटा?
sir, in this example, I don't understand कि sir एक unit की difference से कैसे algorithm में मसला हो सकता है?
Evidence लगा सकता है मैं आपको?
Data तो मिल रहा था ना फिर
नहीं
whatever
मैं
unit.
आपको बताता हूँ आप कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो फॉर एग्जांपल मैं रैंडम एग्जांपल देता हूँ कि हाउ मच miles have been left, how much we've traveled, okay, at what time we were supposed to let the second rocket detach from the main rocket, and the second rocket should ignite. I don't know the exact functioning of the rockets. It's a physics thing, but this is what I know. So if this happens at the wrong time, will it not cause a failure? You know, when you launch a rocket, it's cut into 3 to 4 parts that detaches itself. The first part has to have a much more force to break the gravity. Okay, I think so. It's like till 1,000 kilometers, the force is a lot more. Then the force keeps on decreasing, something like that. You'll study more in physics. So what I'm saying is, if the conversion in the units, if the conversion the units somehow is wrong, don't you think so? This could cause a problem. I hope you got my point.
Yes, sir.
Huh? Yeah, because this goes in parts. तो इसमें भी यही एग्जैक्टली तो मुझे नहीं पता क्या हुआ होगा, मगर यही हुआ था कि जो जो उसका सेकंड थर्ड पार्ट था, that was supposed to be detached and it basically detached earlier or later, जिसकी वजह से it all went wrong. So हाँ, मैं बात ये कर रहा था कि इसमें the testers that we have in every organization, they play a very vital role, because if they fail to test the system thoroughly, this can cause a big problem. Okay, इसमें ये नहीं होता हम कहेंगे कुछ नहीं होता, and that's a very big problem with us as Asians. ये issue, I'm not like to try to be discriminating, मगर ये है, fact है. Anyway, okay, right. So right, here are some example. Powerful commercial companies began able to exert pressure on less powerful companies to ensure that the powerful companies' products are used when alternatives must be available. This happens. This happens. Nisa, could you give me an example of this? Yeah, an example. You could get the point. What we mean by that.
So the second point, companies providing systems that
No,
do
no,
not
the
guarantee
first one. The
security.
first one. This one.
Oh, okay.
Anyone, you can tell me, but anyone can think as well. Let's think of an example, good example. One is totally.
For example,
Yes.
For example, if it's a small business or anything, and starting May they use Gmail for their stuff, and maybe it's like a new, it's a good business, but
Mm-hmm.
they're coming up with something really innovative, and then unki jo communication hai wo hack ho jaye. For
Total.
example, I, in this separate dimension where if a software has not given them proper security का जो है सारा whole system.
Absolutely. अच्छा मैं example दे दूं. देखो, um, you know about Ubuntu, right? All of you know about Ubuntu.
No sir.
Come on, my CS students. Um, Ubuntu. Ubuntu basically, it's an African word. It's a freeware. Okay, it's a freeware operating system, and you have Ubuntu for. Where's the main page? Yeah, that's it. You have Ubuntu desktop, you have Ubuntu server, Linux, you have Ubuntu, the different Ubuntu cloud. If I go to desktop, this is a freeware operating system. And it's a very good operating system. If you go to YouTube and you can look at the interface, and you can order it for free. I even have DVDs of this. You can order, you will get the DVDs at home. But now obviously DVDs are not used, but they still will send you DVDs. You can even download it. It's all free. Okay. It's very good operating system. They have their own application softwares, alternate to Excel, alternate to Access, which was very good. Okay, at some point, I was even considering that for our IGCSE ICT, let's turn over to Ubuntu. But so, in order to break the monopoly, we have Ubuntu. Okay, these are free softwares that you have. Okay, so
सर अगर हम इसको डाउनलोड कर लेते हैं क्या हमारे माइक्रोसॉफ्ट को रिप्लेस कर देगा?
आप इसको जब इंस्टॉल करोगे आप तो यू कैन डू ड्यूल बूटिंग एज वेल. ओके ओके, आई विल शेयर अ वीडियो विद यू जिसमें यू कैन इंस्टॉल उबुंटू ड्यूल बूटिंग के साथ. तो मुझे आपको इनफैक्ट माइक्रोसॉफ्ट की जरूरत ही नहीं है. इट्स सो गुड. I'm just telling you, like I was thinking कि अगर पाकिस्तान में let's say we have very strict law coming in, जब Microsoft says कि pirated Windows should not be used, pirated Office should not be used, I would suggest LGS goes for Ubuntu. It's a freeware, no problem. थोड़ा सा interface different है ना? Let's get it installed. Why not? So this is a good example of that. When companies try to show monopoly, and when alternates are available, then why are we not going for that? Why don't we go for less costly? ये तो less costly भी नहीं है, तो cheap है. I'm sorry, it's free. It's totally free. Like Adobe Photoshop के alternate you might have heard of is GIMP, GIMP. GIMP is very good. Obviously, it's not as good as Photoshop, but it can do everything that Photoshop can do. Most of them, 90% at least. Right. Companies providing systems that do not guarantee security against unauthorized access. Okay. You get this point. Okay. Companies should be providing security unauthorized access. Banks are supposed to provide, the servers are supposed to provide you full security to the clients. Okay. So your banking details should not go into wrong hands if they're online, electronically saved. Organizations that try to conceal information about a security breach that has occurred in their systems. Okay, yeah, there might be a breach, security breach within an organization, and they might try to conceal it. Private data transmitted by individual to other individuals being stored and made available to security services, right? So, private data being transmitted by individuals and to other individuals being stored and made available to security services, obviously, not right. Social media sites allowing abusive or legal content to be transmitted, fine. Okay, social media sites should not do that. They should be trying to block it as soon as possible. If it's concerned with religion, race, society, they should be taking care of it. They should be doing it. Search engines providing search results with no concern about the quality of the content, right? So, ownership and copyright. Well, you have probably studied this before in your O levels, if you've done CS or IDCT, that this was something known as your Copyright Act 1998, or it was also known as your Data Protection Act 1998, which basically helped the person who had made a website, who had um, displayed the content online in a blog or a software piracy, whatever. So you were legally bound to sue someone who was copying your content. Okay, this act came in. We have it in Pakistan as well now. Okay. Yes, there's a very long argument against शुरू हो जाएगा इस पे, मगर बात ये है कि you would say कि why still people are doing it even then the law is there. देखो, as long as the law is not there, सोचो कि law ना हो फिर तो कोई जो भी करे. अब law है, at least whoever wants to pursue legally against someone who is doing it, you can do it because law does exist. Okay, so ownership and copyright की बात हो गई. Copyright can apply to written work, music composition, a film, a music recording, a radio, TV, work of art, or computer program. It could be anything. Okay. The typical copyright laws will include requirement of registration according to the date of whenever you did. We made a website, you write copyright 2020. The defined period when the copyright will apply from this to this year. Okay. A policy to be applied if individual holding copyright dies. Yeah, what happens in that case? It should be there. An agreement method for indicating the copyright, for example, the use of the symbol. Usually you'll see this. This means that you have actually taken a copyright of that. Okay. For example, like I have taken the copyright of mrsyme.com, which means if there is someone else who wants to, पहली बात तो ये कि Mr. Syme domain अब available ही नहीं है. No one can purchase it. Someone can purchase Mr. Syme 1 or Mr. Syme 2. But let's say someone wants to use the word Mr. Syme, उसको copyright मैंने लिया हुआ है. Okay. So this means that this following word cannot be used if there are other people with that particular name. So as long as you take a copyright, no one can do it. Okay, because if someone does it, legally you're bound to sue that person and you can take action against that person. Obviously, you know about all this. Software licensing, we baat hogi ki if you take a license of the software, piracy can be stopped to a lot of extent, and your company cannot face a very economical problem. Because if everyone starts to get free licensing, okay, then how would you generate the business? Revenue for the business, sorry. So the software license has to be paid, but there are a number of different options that might be available. Fees paid for each individual copy of the software. The company might have option of buying a site license. Special rates might be available for educational use. Yes, this is what I am talking about. We should have this special rate, a lot of special rates. Minimum 70% discount is given to educational institutes in countries like India, and we should have it as well. So you know what we have is a shareware is a commercial license which is available on a trial basis that you can share it for a limited time. Once the time is over, then you cannot use the software. Freeware is absolutely free. You can use the software freely. Okay, that's what your freeware is for. Examples of using commercial software can be justified, including the software is available for immediate use and provides functionality required. So obviously, a commercial software which you have to pay, you can download and you can use it. Okay, the software has been created to be used in conjunction with. Yes, beta. So wherever you have a commercial license, these are the properties that they will always be maintained. Okay, you will always have customer support that will be provided to you. Okay, freeware can often offer sufficient functionality to serve a user's limited needs. Yes, there are many freeware softwares that offer such good services that we don't have to use commercial-based softwares. There are. Open or free, open source, like I just told you, Ubuntu is an open source. Open source basically means open source. You know what source is? Source means the programming code. Okay, they're talking about the code. So the good thing about Ubuntu is that you can even ask for the source copy of the operating system. That's so amazing. Which means you if you ask for a request, they will give you as a developer all the coding that has been used to develop the operating system Ubuntu or application. Now, you might be wondering, yes, beta?
How do they generate their business then?
Advertisement, basically. Okay, now this was a big question that everyone was asking. You're right. There are major soft operating systems that are used by not commercial, like you students and me. We can use Ubuntu, but for server side, they have something known as Linux. You might have heard of Linux and Unix somewhere. आपने सुना होगा. One is Linux and one is Unix. Unix are your server-based operating system. Okay, Unix and Linux are one of the best server-based operating systems that have beaten Windows for the past decade now. If you do your website hosting on Linux or Unix, Linux especially, there are very less chances your website can be hacked. मेरी website मैंने Linux पे कर दी है. I'm withdrawn from Windows. With Windows में I had a problem that Windows server पे I had I told you probably last time I had this virus attack. Okay, denied DOS attack हुआ था, denial of service attack. So I had a DOS attack on my server because it was Windows based, and the server company failed to admit and do anything about it. They said we are totally secure, but the problem is you have opted for Windows based server, and this can happen. If you really want to be fully secure, you should go for Linux. So I'll answer your question. Linux is not free. The Linux server-based operating system is sold and it's a bit expensive. But since they're doing such a good job, people are buying it. Companies are buying it. Web hosting companies are buying it. So they generate the revenue. One is through the advertisement that they have, and secondly is from Linux and Unix. But they're doing good thing as well. They are giving majority of it for free. So initially they started it for free, but obviously then they had to generate revenue. Then they did it. Right? Okay. Did I answer your question better, Uswa?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Examples of using an open source software. Okay, everyone is with me, right? I mean, I don't have only Nisa or Uswa. Aisha was there as well. Yeah, I'm in. Okay, so examples of using open source software will include, we have discussed, you can go through, frankly speaking, something which are really, AI. Okay, AI is a topic that, can I discuss this separately some other time? It's very interesting, and I want to give it a full lecture on AI. Can I do that, if it's okay? What do you say?
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes, sir.
I would like to discuss this with you using my own presentation, and I would like to have a lot of discussion on this. अच्छा, अब हम ये करेंगे कि ये तो हम करेंगे वेडनेसडे को डिस्कस. We are just left with chapter 11 databases की. ठीक है? हम एक काम कर सकते हैं कि जो वेडनेसडे की क्लास है, can I prolong it 40 minutes more till 3:40 if no one has a problem?
Sir, I have a session already. I missed an hour of it, so
On
it
Wednesday?
will be difficult.
No,
Yes.
Wednesday?
I'm saying I have a session. I already missed an hour of it because of the CS clash. So
And
I'm not
Wednesday?
able to stay till 3:40.
Okay, ठीक है, fine.
Yes.
I will try to finish by 3. मैं आपको बता देता हूँ कि हमने खैर वेडनेसडे को we can't do artificial intelligence and chapter 11. मगर those students who have come with the CS or ICT background आपको तशु नहीं होगा, because if you have done access with me, इसमें most of the concept come from access. Okay, okay. It's all about relationships, primary key, foreign key, composite key, making relationship between tables. Okay, so we will talk about all of that. मैं ये चाहूँगा कि what I will do is कि Wednesday को I would explain this practically. What do I mean? मैं access के through आपको सारा explain करूँगा. Because if I'm able to do that, आपको सारा कुछ समझ आ जाएगा. Relational database को समझने के लिए सबसे important चीज है कि practically you should know, because I don't want you to cram it. I want you to make obviously a reasoning out of it. जब आप practically मेरे साथ करोगे, आपको idea होगा कि what is meant by primary key, what is meant by secondary key, what's a foreign key. Okay, you will know what referential integrity is in excess. Okay, you will know कि entity relationship diagram one to many, one to one किससे बनता है, like this is one to many, this is okay, this is many to many, okay, या one to one. How do we create these in excess, right? मैं बिल्कुल overview कर रहा हूँ. So a logical entity relation diagram we will also see in excess. We'll talk about normalization. Okay, मैं भी सिर्फ summarize कर रहा हूँ what we're doing. We will be talking about is first normal form, second normal form, third normal form. What is normalization? Normalization means that we have data in a flat file. A flat file database like Excel में मसला ये होता है कि for example if I ask you to, अच्छा मैं सारा thoroughly explain करूँगा, मैं सब overview करूँ, बार-बार बता रहा हूँ मैं आपको. In Excel में if I ask you to enter the details of every client that comes in, you will write the person's name, his age, address, the item purchased by the customer, the number of items purchased, the price, or so on and so. So you will add all these details. ठीक हो गया. But there's a problem in all this. The problem is that next time the customer comes in again, you will again enter the person's name, address, phone number, and whatever the person purchased, and so on and so. So Excel, flat file databases is not the way. You need to use is relational database. Relational database क्या होता है कि you will separate the sales table from your customer table. You will separate them. In the sales table, you will have is an ID known as sales. In the customer table, you will have an ID known as customer. Customer ID will be unique. Sales ID will be unique. So every table that you have should have a primary key that uniquely distinguishes every record. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this entire discussion of normalization is based on this, that how can we create a relational database, and what are the advantages of creating, okay, how can we get rid of redundant data. Redundant का मतलब होता है that data which is being repeated and is of no use. अब ये redundant हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा. मैं अगर let's say I have Excel file and this particular customer visited my store 10 times in a week. तो 10 times आपका ख्याल से मैं उसका नाम, उसका age, उसका gender, उसका phone number 10 times I am repeating it again and again. Is this data not redundant? I mean, why am I repeating the same data? There should be a way that I can reduce it. This will be a part of a discussion. That how redundant data can be.
सर लेकिन अगर हम उसकी आईडी बना के उसको प्राइमरी की बना दें तो फिर तो हम उस कस्टमर को दोबारा उसकी डिटेल एंटर कर सकते हैं.
बिल्कुल. तो आप यही तो आप कर रही हो. Then you are normalizing the data. आपने अगर प्राइमरी की बना दी है तो आप सेकंड नॉर्मल फॉर्म तक पहुंच गए हो. You get my point? So you're doing it.
सर यस
No, was it a question or a statement आपका?
सर मैं पूछ रही हूँ कि आपने कहा है ना कि हम दोबारा जब कस्टमर आएगा तो हमें उसका दोबारा सारा डेटा एंटर करना पड़ेगा, लेकिन हम ये कर लें कि उसकी आईडी बना के उसको प्राइमरी की बना दें तो फिर तो
आपके क्वेश्चन में ही आपका आंसर है. आप समझ गए बात को.
जी सर.
You have the knowledge what you're saying is, इसलिए आपने खुद ही मुझे आंसर दे दिया है. आप जो कह रही हो कि कस्टमर आईडी बना लें, ये हम रिलेशनल डेटाबेस में कर सकते हैं, फ्लैट फाइल में नहीं कर सकते. We cannot create primary keys in Excel. सोचो, can we do it? We cannot. हम डिफाइन नहीं कर सकते. So हम ये कर सकते हैं कि we make a relationship. एक सेकंड छोड़ो. कि if I have a sales table में I have customer ID और customer के table में भी I have customer ID. But in the customer table, the customer ID that I have in the customer table, it's a primary key. It's not being repeated. Anyone has a problem with that? In the customer table, the customer ID is a primary key. It's not being repeated. Agree? But the customer ID that I will have in the sales table will be repeated. But the sales ID in the sales table will be unique. I hope you get my point. क्योंकि सेल्स टेबल में I'll have customer this जो buying multiple things, इसलिए जो customer ID होगा in the sales table that will be known as a foreign key, and the customer ID जो होगा customer table में that will be the primary key, and the relationship between that and that will be one to many. मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ, एक सेकेंड, just 1 second. कोई रिलेशनल डेटाबेस नहीं बना हुआ, not again same and same. Auctioneers, for example, yeah, ये देखो ये कस्टमर आईडी है ना, लकीली कस्टमर आईडी ओपन हुआ है. You see over here this plus, this means one to many. This one customer ID is related to many of this. कहाँ हुआ? Items. Item में अगर आप आओगे ना, तो item में भी you will see यहाँ there should be customer ID. Do you see this? I have customer, and if I display them in ascending order, how many times one is appearing? How many times? So you have this being repeated. 21 is being repeated. See? So the following customer bought the following items. The following customer bought the following items. Chances are repeated, they bought multiple things. So this is one to many. You get my point? But this can be done in a relational database software such as MS Access. You know what the good thing is? Our Zoom did not close the lecture after 40 minutes. So we'll talk about normalization. पता मैं overview क्यों कर रहा हूँ? It will be easier for me to cover this up on Wednesday. अगर मैं अभी मैं जनरली डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ आप लोगों से, आपको तो आपको जल्दी से आने जाएगी. So we will be discussing the tool is be joining now. First normal form. First normal form क्या होता है? First normal form will be that your fields need to, if they are not atomic, they have to be atomic. What क्या मतलब atomic का? Atomic का मतलब ये है कि maybe if you have a field by the name of name, you cannot have the full name, like first name and the last name. You cannot have like Saim Tariq over here, okay, as a full name. You need to make sure that the first name is separated with the last name. Okay, so Saim is separate, the last name is separate. इसी तरह अगर address है, address में you have the venue and then you have is the postal code. तो venue और postal code एक जगह पे ना हो, venue को separate करो, postal code को separate करो. So every field that you have should be atomic. It should represent only its entity. It should not represent some other entity. इसका मतलब होगा first normal form. When you come to sort of second normal form में ये होगा कि when you reach second normal form, you have to make sure that you have is a primary key, which means that every table that you create should uniquely represent its own. You get the point? And when you come in the third normal form, जो मैं आपको डिटेल में बताऊंगा, it will basically mean that we have to make sure that all of your tables do not have any functional dependency. Functional dependency का क्या मतलब है? मैं आपको बताता हूँ. Functional dependency का मतलब ये है कि if I have a table and in a table I have the information of the customer ID, customer name, customer address, and then I have the information of supplier ID, supplier name. Supplier is not anyway dependent on the customer ID. Supplier का कुछ भी नहीं ताल्लुक customer के साथ. So supplier information is not dependent. It's not functionally dependent on the customer information. So customer information and supplier information, when they are in one table, they should not be in one table because since they are not functionally dependent. So all the fields that you have in a table, you again have to make sure कोई ऐसी information तो नहीं इस table में रह गई जो which is not there. Okay, for example, band name, number of bands, venue name, venue address, perfectly fine. But there should be not any field that is not functionally dependent. Just an overview, मैं डिटेल में डिस्कस करूंगा सब कुछ. So we have database management system की बात करेंगे पूरे हम, the advantage, disadvantages, ठीक है. We'll talk about SQL. मैं आपको Access में I will also create an SQL statement and I'll show it to you. Okay? ये जो सारी SQL statements generate होंगी ना over here, these I will show it to you how they are generated. Yeah, you should know it. मगर आपको जब practical जब मैं दिखा दूंगा, it will be easy for you to understand ये हो क्या रहा है. Okay? We can have a look at this. Okay, insert into this. I'll show it to you. We'll do it in Access. और साथ साथ हम उसको करके देखेंगे. जहां तक कर सके, I'll not push. You can tell me. Count star याद होगा आपको, count everything. Those of you done ICT, उनको idea होगा इसका. So it's not a big deal. It's more like a practical thing. It's practically related. जो आप practically एक बार सीख लोगे, you will get more idea of what we are trying to discuss. Yes. Any question till now? Anyone? Are you with me, all of you? Seriously? Am I talking to myself?
Yes,
No, sir.
अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक है. Right. तो अच्छा, मैंने आपके इंडिविजुअल टेस्ट चेक कर लिए थे. मैं इंशाल्लाह आज शाम को ना इंडिविजुअली आपको रिप्लाई कर दूंगा. आई जस्ट रिमेंबर्ड दैट आई डिड एंड आई डिड नॉट शेयर विद यू. सो इंडिविजुअली आई शेयर विद यू. ठीक है. अच्छा, मैं आज खुद क्लास को ज्यादा प्रोलॉन्ग नहीं कर रहा. आई वाज नॉट फीलिंग वेरी गुड, मगर मैंने कहा क्लास मैंने जरूर लेनी है आप लोगों के साथ. वेडनेसडे को प्लीज मिस ना करें. ओके, we will inshallah start exactly on time. Okay, all of you. हमारी वेडनेसडे को 1:50 स्टार्ट होती है ना, राइट?
Yes, sir.
हाँ,
Yes, sir.
राइट राइट राइट.
Sir, AI पे डिस्कशन करनी है तो क्लास पहले कर लें, इनके 12:40 से स्टार्ट कर लें.
मैं यही कह रहा था exactly 12. Can everyone join at 12:40? I will remind all of you.
हमारी फिजिक्स की एक्स्ट्रा क्लास नहीं, आई थिंक मेरी फिजिक्स की एक्स्ट्रा क्लास होगी इस वक्त.
क्या बेटा?
आई थिंक कि शायद उस 12:40 पे मेरी फिजिक्स की एक्स्ट्रा क्लास हो रही है.
ठीक है बेटा. अच्छा, आप हम 12:50 पे ज्वाइन करें ना. 12.
नहीं, सर वो जो हम ट्यूसडे को रख रहे हैं बिकॉज़ a lot of people want physics की क्लास ट्यूसडे को, उनके लिए ज्यादा कन्वीनियंट है.
ओके देन.
क्या कन्वीनियंट है? मैं समझ नहीं आया.
फिजिक्स की क्लास की वो कह रही थी ना.
नहीं, वो कोई क्लास की बात कर रही है, कोई क्लास है उसका.
नहीं
तो
सर,
वो
वो
क्लास में resolve हो गया.
अपनी वो ट्यूसडे को होगी है क्लास. ठीक है.
अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक है. तो हम 12:40 रख सकते हैं ना?
यस सर.
बस ठीक है. सो वेडनेसडे को मैं आपको रिमाइंड भी करा दूंगा पहले, ऑल ऑफ यू. वी मीट एट 12:40 इंशाल्लाह. ठीक हो गया? राइट. सो वी कैन डिस्कस. इट विल बी एन इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक. ओके, एआई का टॉपिक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग होगा. यू विल एंजॉय इट ऑल ऑफ यू. अच्छा बेटा, सी यू ऑन वेडनेसडे इंशाल्लाह. ओके
Yes, sir.
ओके बेटा. अल्लाह हाफिज.
Allah Hafiz.
अल्लाह हाफिज.
अल्लाह हाफिज.
अल्लाह हाफिज बेटा.